Welcome back to another video. As always, I am your host, Maya Warren, and I'm excited to be with you today. We're going to hop right in. Today, I want to talk about the topic of opportunity doesn't wait for recovery. So, what exactly do I mean by that? When I say opportunity, I mean spaces in time where we are presented with a task or an open door to perform something or do something, complete a task, whatever that might be, whether it might be quality time with your family, whatever it is, those opportunities do not wait for recovery. What do I mean when I say recovery? When I'm talking about recovery, I mean for those of us who are built different, who have disabilities and chronic illnesses and autoimmune diseases and medical conditions, recovery is something that eludes many of us, something that we won't in totality experience. And for myself, or for me in particular, having chronic fatigue syndrome, I always battling this thought or grappling or trying to navigate this thought or concept of how much is too much or how much is too little or things of that nature. But opportunity is interesting in that it never really waits for me to become 100%. And the idea that I'm still waiting around to become 100%, that in and of itself is internalized ableism, which I've talked about in a previous video. Another aspect of this is, in the last video, I said I was going to be making a full month's worth of, content for Invisible Disabilities Month. And I made one video. In that video, I introduced this current complication I'm having with hypermobility spectrum disorder in the capacity of nerve pain that I'm still discovering and, navigating the process of getting answers to. And there's just so many layers from a disability perspective, then even considering, with chronic migraine disease, I navigate speech aphasia, and I do quite a few speaking engagements and have quite a few opportunities to be before people. And, I always tend to give a disclaimer in my relationships and people that I'm in community with, like, hey, like if I pause or if I stutter or if I pause or if I forget what I'm completely saying, or if I have a hard time getting the words out because my tongue isn't cooperating with the neurological signals my brain is sending it, like, be patient with me. And I remember in the beginning stages of my YouTube channel when I transitioned from a music cover channel to a solely advocacy related channel. And one of the things that I would do is I would go in and edit out every moment of speech aphasia, every gap in time where I could not remember what in the world I was talking about. And I would edit all that out. I just take it plumb out. And, every now and again, I might do that to some degree, but never to the extent of where I'm nitpicking every phrase, every sentence that I'm speaking. And that would just drain me. It would take a couple hours just to get through some of my videos, and some of my videos were less than 10 minutes. So in that, I've had to learn to obviously embrace those things. But I'm coming around to the precipice of this concept that opportunity doesn't wait for me to, so to speak, recover. Like, opportunity doesn't wait for me to, somehow find a miracle cure for all the chronic illnesses that I'm dealing with just so I can be afforded with opportunities to speak or afforded with opportunities to create. And as a matter of fact, life doesn't work like that. The way that God designed us doesn't work like that. We don't function like that. And, given my track record with injury, I've just kind of thought about how in many of the ways that I've approached acute injury, it's been like, okay, when I recover, that's when I'm going to do this. Or when I feel better, that's when I do this. When I have enough energy, that's when I do this. And in many ways, I kind of took being able to have that assurance to a certain degree for granted. Because now with chronic conditions, of about over a decade now, I don't have that assurance. Like if I waited until after every bout of chronic fatigue ended, which for me it doesn't really end, I would never do anything. If I waited until every bout of speech aphasia was over, I'd never do anything because I don't know when they're going to happen all the time. Like even in the way I pronounce that word, like I don't know when that's going to happen all the time. I can't always pinpoint when my words will be slurred. And I just got done recording an album, and as I'm recording, I'm you have to listen to your takes, see if you like them or whatnot. And so I'm recording, and there are certain words in there where I can just tell, like, oh, no matter how many takes I did, my tongue was just not going to cooperate. And so the moment I kind of stopped trying to do 100 takes per, slur or about a speech aphasia, it got better. Not that my aphasia got better, but my productivity got better because I was less nitpicky and I was allowing myself to embrace, okay, well, I just pronounced that differently in that moment. Like, I just pronounced that in this space of time a little differently. And however people interpret that, let them interpret that. But I think the amount of exhaustion it takes to one mask, which I stopped doing a while ago, but the exhaustion it takes to try to nitpick the things that you aren't masking anymore is insurmountable. Then you add the amount of exhaustion that it takes to explain yourself all the time or pull back on opportunities because you feel inadequate because of maybe some limitations or just navigating different things like communication and physical activity and all those things differently. Like it requires so much more energy that if we allow ourselves to just be, I'm not talking about in terms of personal growth, but I mean just be from a ability perspective, from a difference perspective. Like if we allow ourselves to, maybe show the speech aphasia or the fatigue or, oh wow, I'm having a bout of migraine or, I'm losing my train of thought, because of this, and this. Like if we allow ourselves to experience those things without the pressure of, okay, let me hold off on life until that gets, so to speak, to an acceptable degree, or let me hold off on this opportunity until I have recovered or gained, what some might even refer to as dignity. Because, we live in a world where when you navigate invisible or non apparent conditions, because for so many years have felt misunderstood, which turned into this cycle of masking and hiding, which now leads to more misunderstanding, which turns into more masking and hiding. Like that cycle is so vicious in that now, for those of us who do feel called to stop masking and stop hiding and stop cleaning up every aspect of our limitations to make other people feel comfortable, it feels weird. Like it genuinely feels weird, and it feels at many times vulnerable because people don't get to see that all the time. And for those of us who experience it, we only show the bulk of that to people we feel safe around. And so to create this culture of normalizing what it means to have invisible conditions in all of its ups and downs, the good, bad, and the ugly, it's different because it's almost, in many ways, for those of us embarking on that, we're still in a trailblazing journey. As I'm talking about this, I think for a lot of us, the idea of I'll pursue this opportunity to create change or this opportunity to spend time with so and so or this moment in time where I can do XYZ until after I feel like I've recovered not just health, but maybe it's dignity, gathered ourselves after a breakdown, gathered ourselves after a bout of emotion where we're fed up and we're tired of being sick and tired, but yet we press on. We dried our tears and we kept it moving. Like the idea of that, the idea of collecting ourselves, which I'm going to deem as a form of recovery. That very concept is more rooted in dignity, more rooted in pride. And then the layer behind that is rooted in vulnerability. The idea that I now feel weak because you see me at my most authentic. You see me at my highest or my lowest or my in between. You see me as I constantly am when I don't have to put on a persona to make other people comfortable. And that is very, heavy at times. It can be heavy, but I'm learning that it's free. I've been navigating these spaces of disability, equity, inclusion, as they now call it, for a while. I've been an advocate for over 10 years. And one of the things I noticed is that a lot of people doing the speaking are people without disabilities, and people without any lived experience. And that frustrates me because now we paint this pretty and pink perspective of disability and disability inclusion. That means, okay, clean yourself up and we'll give you a job opportunity. Or clean yourself up and we'll create these equity programs for you. Now clean yourself up and your symptoms and your abilities, polish it all up so you can be more acceptable so we can put you on our website. And that's just not logical. I hear a lot of people without disabilities talking about how to talk to people with disabilities, what not to say with people with disabilities. In every area of life, it seems that everybody seems to make the opinion and the perspective and the code of conduct and, the guidelines for how people with disabilities should act, live, and behave as well as think. And some of that may be well intentioned, but I can have the best of intentions and still hurt you. There's not enough people caring about people. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from. We create these systems and structures not realizing they're suffocating people at the very heart of it. They're suffocating the humanity of the individuals that they actually impact at the heart of it. To the point where we within this community that everybody seems to want to make decisions for and never with are the ones that are constrained and constantly are burdened by the barriers that being authentic in all our symptomology and abilities can bring. And that saddens me. And so I say all that to say, as someone who has had to do my first keynote speaking engagement in front of a room full of people who couldn't really see beyond my feet with a sling on, who utilized the wonderful assistance of a friend to help guide me to and from the speaking area. I'm done hiding. But more than that, I'm done cleaning up what life is like navigating invisible conditions. And my challenge to you today is to find ways to just be. Be as you are in maybe your style of communication that you navigate the world with. Be as you are as you write, process information. And yes, those are going to come with obstacles, and I continue to face obstacles. But the thing that I'm always reminded of is it's better to have temporary discomfort by facing conflict than to have permanent damage by avoiding it entirely. On that note, my name is Mayia Warren. Welcome back to my channel where we live, where we're all built different, and I will see you next time.